Welcome to Boulder City Council this evening. Call the meeting to order. Madam City Clerk, posting and roll call, please.
Thank you. The agenda was posted in conformance with the Nevada open meeting law, and all members are present and in the chamber.
Thank you. We will, on the agenda, anything can be taken out of order and or combined and or removed. We will now have the invocation by Pastor Jason King of the Calvary Chapel Church. If you will all rise and stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance thereafter.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, City Leaders, thank you. It's an honor to be here. It's a privilege to be asked, and it's a profound blessing to talk to God on the behalf of this city. So thank you. Let's pray. Father in heaven, thank you, Lord, that we can know you and talk to you and ask you for help. And that's what we do. Tonight, Lord, I stand before you and these people in the name of Jesus. And I pray, God, that you would bless this city, that you would strengthen these leaders and give them great wisdom, that you would help them, Lord, to have one heart and one mind as they consider the business of this city. We pray, Lord, for the citizenry of our community, God, and pray that you would bless them and protect them, that you would work in our city in a mighty way that shows us your grace and your power and your love. Your word says that the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness, righteousness, and truth. So that's what we ask for, that we would have leaders and neighbors who love what's good and right and true. We ask for you, Lord, to help us to be a peaceable people with one another, that we would, when we disagree, be civil and kind. May this meeting reflect those things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. In way of announcements, we have a rather unique individual in Boulder City, Charles de Carbonnier, who has his happy 100th birthday, congratulations, milestone. And so that will be June 27th, and he is not here right now, but we have a proclamation, and I don't know how good Holly is with focusing on this, but this young man just turned. Good job. One of the blessings of life is to have a mayor pro tem and a city clerk. But Charles Carbonnier, 100 years old, and I have to say, bon anniversaire, toute notre félicitation. And I would speak more French, but we're going to have a short meeting. So we are so thrilled to be able to recognize him for not only who he is, but where he's from and what he has contributed to the spirit of Boulder City. Along those same lines, we have two people we'd like to recognize, likewise who aren't here, Ned Shamo and Greg Todd, both of whom have served on the Utility Advisory Commission for the whole time it's been organized since 2019, and we will have certificates for them when they are present, and appreciate their service in such a thing that we've been able to have such a good response to our citizens in our utility district. Southern Nevada Health District sponsored a thing called Beat the Heat, and they are obviously aware that, and this was before the heat really struck, but they came out with things that we should all know about and know about who's at risk So they have the little flyer that was out there. And older adults, age 65 and older, infants, children, those with medical conditions, people without access to air conditioning, basically anybody who is in a position of not being able to get into the shade and be hydrated. And they advise us to drink more water. You don't need sugary drinks. In fact, you should avoid those, and alcohol you should avoid, but drink more water. And then wear loose, light-colored clothing, plan activities for the cooler times of the shade. So Jill and I, when we walked today, we walked in the shade down Bristlecone and back up Bristlecone and back down Bristlecone, all in the shade. And then the third tip they talk about is check on people at higher risk and never, ever leave children or pets alone in your car. So this is just making sure that we are all aware of the dangers that we have at this time of the year, and particularly recently. And I do have to take a moment and say, pat ourselves on the back. We had the customer service survey that the city did, and we've had 100 people respond to the survey, and we had great results by anybody's definition. We had over 80% of people who were extremely well and very well feeling about the service that the city gave them. And the overall grade, 1 out of 5, we received an average rating of 4.5. So the city has been and will be and probably continue to be very responsive to our questions and our suggestions. And we always are interested in what people say to us and sometimes even about us. But we are thrilled with the survey results, and we had 86% extremely or very responsive to the questions they had for the city and the city staff. So we are thrilled with that survey. Having said that, in the way of announcements, we'll open up for public comment. Anyone on the phone lines, Madam City Clerk? And anyone here would like to come forward? I see some people who are anxious to come forward and say something, and this would be a great time to do that. And if you want to call on the phone while they're talking, 702-589-9629. Go ahead, Coach.
Thank you. Mayor, City Council, my name's Robert Northridge. I'm a 40-year resident of Boulder City, retired educator, and I'm a member of the Boulder City golfing community. The first thing I'd like to do is publicly thank Mr. Andy Shaper for his 22 years plus of serving Boulder City. He was the first head golf pro at Boulder Creek. He was the director of both courses for about the last 3.5 years and the director of operations of both courses for the last 2 years. Just a super guy, did a super job. He kept building and planning on both courses, where now they're very, very successful. Both courses are making some money for the city. His commitment to the youth of Boulder City and Southern Nevada is unparalleled. He never, ever, ever said no to any youth that wanted to come out and participate and hold tournaments, and that's from Southern Nevada junior golf to the high school golf and even the college golf. You know, we held the NCAA Division III Men's Championship here this year. He's going to be missed. But with that said, on agenda item number 11 today is Mr. Carl Larkin. He's been the director of both courses for about the last 2 years, and he's just done a great job of investing himself into the Boulder City community. He's well known in Southern Nevada, but he has fit in super nice with all our different organizations we have at both golf courses. I think he'd be a great hire if it's approved on action item number 11 for the Shaper Golf, for him to run it. Thank you for your time, and you guys do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would like to say anything? These things would be, on the initial public comment, would be things that are pertaining to matters on the agenda. If there's something that is not on the agenda that you'd like to do public comment at the end of the meeting, that time is open too. Is there no one on the phone lines? Go ahead.
Good evening, Council. For the record, Fred Volz. The following comments pertain to agenda items 6, 8, 11, and 9. Boulder City has a human resources function which should be capable of advertising and vetting permanent city manager candidates. It is surprising that item 6 calls for retention of a headhunter to do this work. If public money is to be spent, the superior candidate would be the more specialized developmental associates, not Raftellus. Through 2 utility rate studies, Raftellus has failed to address a list of statistical inconsistencies and omissions highlighted by $40 million of surplus, uncommitted money collected from ratepayers without adequately explaining why rate increases are necessary. Additionally, if Raftellus finds a candidate, there is the inherent bias that comes with selecting a consultant who will conduct the $200,000 BC utility rate study because the new city manager will owe fealty to Raftellus for enabling employment. After reviewing the proposed lease renewal for the Boulder Rifle and Pistol Club in Agenda Item 8, its terms are even more generous than what has been gratuitously given away to ground lessees at the municipal airport. Paying $1 a year to occupy over 100 acres of public land does not adequately compensate the public treasury, even if the tenant pays for insurance, lead cleanup, and operating expenses. Nor does it benefit most Boulderites who never use this facility. We have seen similar subsidies to small special interest groups such as golfers and swimmers, and even the Chamber of Commerce seeking a free facility from city taxpayers. The rental rate for the Rifle and Pistol Club needs to be significantly increased to at least $1,000 a month, which is still a huge bargain reflecting its nonprofit status. A complete contract would address the difference between consanguinity, or a relationship by blood, and affinity, or a relationship by adoption, marriage, or domestic partnership. Both are equally concerning given past members on the club's board of directors and should be prohibited per Nevada Commission on Ethics guidelines. No club financials were made public. As for the proposed assignment in Agenda Item 11 of the city golf course operating contract, we see nothing in the documentation that the assignee has the financial wherewithal to run this operation on behalf of city taxpayers. We know nothing of the sales contract between the seller and buyer and the consideration involved or the terms of payment. Shouldn't the city be asking for a personal guarantee from the seller in case the buyer fails to perform, in addition to financial data? Finally, the proposed actions in Agenda Item 9 fail to serve the community's best interests. There is a considerable difference between the terms fancier and foster. Nowhere in the definitions section of Title VII are they delineated and segmented. One suggests generating money from animal exploitation, i.e. breeding fancier, then dumping unwanted animals in the community, on rescues, and city shelters to address, and the other suggests a more altruistic desire to help homeless animals. The metrics need parsing. This council has adamantly opposed running businesses in residentially zoned neighborhoods and the presence of active Airbnbs and short-term rentals. How is animal breeding not a disreputable business akin to prostitution and hard drug dealing? We have a crisis of unwanted animals in Boulder City, Southern Nevada, the United States, and worldwide. Why add to the problem and the expense to the public treasury by encouraging needless animal abuse, exploitation, and neglect? No one would suggest human women serially reproduce in such living conditions. Why are these conditions acceptable for voiceless animals? Item 9 needs to be completely tabled until the city's subject matter expert, Ann Abbott, is consulted and her extensive experience incorporated into any proposed title revisions. And I would ask that these comments be added to the record verbatim. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the phone?
No, but I have written public comments.
Okay.
First comment was submitted by Lois Donat. I support Bill number 2058 for 8 animals that are spayed or neutered and chipped. Are all animals, cats and dogs, required to be chipped and vaccinated and licensed in Boulder City, Nevada? I live in Gingerwood Senior Mobile Home Park and see cats running around loose in our park. Are these feral cats licensed cats? Next comment, Ainsworth Hunt. Dear Mayor and City Council, a fancier permit is elitist. There is no good reason to enact a fancier permit just so that council members can justify their selfish, self-centered desires to break rules others are bound by. A foster permit would be welcome as it would help with the overcrowding at the animal shelter is beset by. Clarification of provisions that need to be considered. Dogs and cats need to be neutered at 4 months because animals are going into heat early due to dietary changes. A leash law for dogs that requires the leash to be longer than 6 feet in length. Boulder City has a dog park that allows those who want to let their dog or dogs run free. Next comment submitted by Ainsworth Hunt. Dear Mayor and City Council, I don't know if Marshall Smith, Pool Pack's risk manager, is aware of the attractive nuisance that is near top of Bootleg Canyon Road on its east side, but the items left behind by the defunct Bootleg Canyon zipline business are potentially a $100 million lawsuit waiting to happen. I took several pictures today of a tower that used to be part of that operation. It and the lines it should have been removed long ago. Who's liable if a child dies or becomes permanently disabled, quadriplegic, paralyzed, etc., if they decide to play with these things? In my humble opinion, the person or persons who were the owners of the zipline business should be responsible for the cost of removing these things before an accident occurs. I don't want our pool-packed insurance to be raised because of inaction on this area of concern. Attached are some pictures I took. I don't know if you can present them to the mayor and city council members, but if possible, that would be appreciated. All pictures will be included in the backup material for the minutes. Ainsworth Hunt again. Dear Mayor, City Council, and the Board of Directors of the Boulder City Rifle and Pistol Club. I'm a bit bewildered by the idea of the Boulder Rifle and Pistol Club's lease needing to be renewed at this time. Here's what I submitted in 2021 to the City Council at that time in support of the 2011 lease being renewed. I'm in favor of Resolution 7325. City Council should consent to renew Agreement 00618A for an additional 10 years until August 26, 2031, pursuant to Section 2 of Agreement Number 00618A between the city and the Boulder City Rifle Pistol Club. The Boulder City Rifle Pistol Club is an asset to the community. It encourages firearm safety. It was used during wartime to help the American Army teach marksmanship. It is open to the public on Tuesdays, Thursdays, weekends, and national holidays. The events it hosts, such as the El Dorado Cowboys, vintage military shoot, and long-range competition shootings, are beneficial to the community. It has also been the host for the Media's Range Day for the Las Vegas SHOT Show, and therefore helps promote tourism in Boulder City. Please vote yes. Since 2031, it is 7 years away. Why is this being discussed at this time? Who benefits from this? The land that the club is on was acquired from the Army in 1958. Prior to it becoming the Boulder Rifle and Pistol Club, it had been heavily used as a shooting range. God only knows how much lead was left on the land when Boulder City acquired the property from the Army, but it is likely that amount could be equal to or greater than the amount that has been accumulated since. In addition to what club members, the general public who use the range and SHOT Show have contributed to lead being on the range, members of Boulder City law enforcement who use the Boulder Rifle and Pistol Club at no cost have also contributed to lead accumulation on the range. Section 9 of the proposed new lease puts the club on the hook for lead remediation, all of it. This would be ruinous to the club. None of the language of Section 9 of the newly proposed lease is in the existing lease. It is the objective of Mayor Hardy and the current City Council to put the Boulder Rifle and Pistol Club into receivership. Furthermore, Part B of Section 9 writes of removal schedule that will be attached as Exhibit 3 at the conclusion of the Environmental Stewardship Development Plan. How in the world is the club supposed to agree to something now that doesn't exist yet? Furthermore, why, since a great portion of the lead on the range was there prior to the club's existence and significant contributions of lead, have accumulated due to its use by Boulder City law enforcement who use the club for free. Should the club agree to removal of such lead at its sole cost and expense? Once again, are the mayor and city council looking to put the Boulder Rifle and Pistol Club out of business with the implementation of this new lease? That concludes the written public comments.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Anyone here would like to come forward in public comment about anything pertaining to the agenda? Or if you're looking to call 702-589-9629 and no other written comments. Wait a moment. 702-589-9629 if anyone wants to call. Hearing no one on the phone, we'll move to the next part of our agenda for possible action approval of the regular agenda. Madam City Clerk,
No changes.
and is there a motion to approve the regular agenda?
Move
Do
to
you-
approve regular agenda.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Unanimous, thank you. And then for possible action, approval of the consent agenda, Madam City Clerk.
Yes, thank you. Staff would like to recommend that item number 4 be moved to the regular agenda and heard before item number 7.
Okay, thank you. So I would like a motion to approve the consent agenda with number 4 being moved to the regular agenda before, to be heard before number 7. Is there such a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda with the movement of item 4 to be put before item 7 on regular agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. And is there any need for a vote on that, Madam City Clerk? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The consent agenda has been approved. Number 4 is going to be before number 7. Brings us to the regular agenda, number 5, on our pool pack presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am Paul Sikora, your Purchasing Grants and Risk Manager for the city. This item will consist of 2 parts, and it deals with our fiscal year 25 pool pack insurance premiums for both the airport and the city. The first part will be a presentation by Marshall Smith, the pool pack risk manager, who will talk to you about how Boulder City's premiums were calculated this year, and some other general pool pack topics for your awareness, and answer any questions about this year's policy. Also with us is Lydia Murphy from Levitt Insurance, who operate the day-to-day, execute the day-to-day operations of our insurance. So after that, we will ask for consideration of the resolution to approve the insurance premium payment for this fiscal year.
All right.
With that started, I'd like to introduce Marshall Smith from Pool Pack.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Marshall Smith for the record. As Paul said, I have the privilege of serving as the risk manager for Pool Pact. I have just a few comments. I'm going to keep them short. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and address the council. So this council, I've been here a couple of times in front of this council, and I appreciate being here again, is aware of the history of Pool Pact, how it came about. It's a non-profit. I always want to make sure that is known. Also, as I try to remember to do, I thank you for your service, your public service. I know that maybe you know, maybe you don't. Sometimes it's difficult to be a public servant. I know that, and I appreciate your service. So I also want to make a point of saying that this council's decision to stay with Pool Pack is a good investment. It shows that you are good stewards of the public funds. And I say that because when you invest in Pool Pact, you're investing in yourself. Pool Pact, along with another 140 members of public entities throughout the state, are Pool Pact. There's no other outfit. It's just Pool Pact and all of those members in Nevada and only in Nevada. So and I say it's a good investment because we look at the returns that Boulder City has received. And I'm here to tell you, I do a lot of these presentations, and the amount of programs and services that Boulder City is taking advantage of through the Pool Pack program is truly remarkable. Just briefly, in 2023, we had provided the passive network assessment where we had Tony Rucci come out, who's a national cybersecurity expert, and go stem to stern through your cyber security infrastructure, and with very good results. We provide all of these programs to our members. My point here is that Boulder City is taking advantage of MSDS Online for safety data management, the KnowBe4 cybersecurity platform for all employees that have access to the network, Target Solutions for fire and EMS, the HR training that is available and that Boulder City is taking advantage of, the e-learning platform, and then, I added all these up, and all of this is necessary training for employees of public entities. If Boulder City was to go out on the market and try to obtain this adds up to nearly $80,000 in programs and services. So we talk about the investment that you get on this return. And I'm here to tell you, I'm pretty impressed with Boulder City, but it seems like I'm saying that quite a bit. And the last thing I'm going to end up with is, as you know, Boulder City has engaged in the Enterprise Risk Management Excellence Program. And that's under the direction of Paul. And what that program is a stem to stern, every department analysis of how that department is working. It has between 35 and 50 questions that we've isolated and defined as essential best practices for that particular department. And I have just a brief update on that. I would say started in May of 2023. A member has 3 years to complete it, but I'm working with Paul on the risk management and fiscal controls. Of course, Lourdes, at many meetings with Lourdes, the chief, Shay, with road operations. Today, we completed that particular section. Worked with Ben this morning on the cybersecurity. He's doing a very good job there. Chief Chesser, Deputy Chief Chesser, he's completed the fire services section. Councilmember McKay has completed the board governance section of the, what am I talking about here? It was Councilmember Booth, sorry. Yes, we did that. I don't know, it didn't take that long to do it, and that completed the board governance section. And then, of course, Gary Poindexter I've gotten in many departments, and he's doing a very good job. Tim Lynch, Streets Division, completed that section. And then, of course, got Gary on the Public Works, and Cherie Brennan with the school, with the swimming pool, is nearly completed with that as well. And then today I had a meeting with Julie at Parks and Rec today, and she's moving through that as well. But this is a comprehensive, it's not just a checklist, it is an identification that there's a best practice in place, that all relevant staff have been trained to it, That training is documented. So, Mr. Mayor, when you referred to the satisfaction that your citizens of Boulder City showed through that research, that survey, I understand. I mean, the proof is in the tasting here. You have some remarkable people, and I appreciate that. And I would suggest the council appreciate those people too.
Thank you. Any questions?
If you have any questions about the policy, and beyond all that, we also provide you general liability and workers' comp.
That's wonderful. Madam City Clerk, I don't think you have to print all of the words in the testimony.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Paul had mentioned, it's the general coverage plus the airport. And in our briefings, we didn't really talk much about where the airport folds into all this, if it's inclusive of the numbers that are presented in the packet, or if it's separate, and how those look. So if you could elaborate, please.
I will look into that. I would, we have the agent here, and Lydia may be able to address that.
Fair enough, thanks.
Hi, good evening. Lydia Murphy. You are on a third year of a 3-year program that's a set rate for 3 years, and this is the third installment for this 3 years. You won't see any changes in pricing from the previous 2 years until next year, and they'll reassess those rates at that time. But I believe it was a $13,000. It was included in the invoice that was presented with the renewal quotes.
Okay, and Paul, you could comment on this, I'm sure. That's coming out of the enterprise account from the airport, separate from the other quotes we have for the general.
That's correct.
Right?
That's why we get a separate quote for that particular item, but we're bringing them both together for approval today.
Thanks for clarifying. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Thank you for your help, and now that will bring us to, for possible action, resolution number 7807. And anything you'd like to say, Paul?
Yes, sir, if you don't mind,
Go
one
ahead.
last thing. Marshall didn't bring this up, but this year's premium is a success story for the city. The most pool members are paying between a 6 and 10% premium increase. If any civilian agency on the outside is spending 6 to 10. And because of all those factors Marshall talked about, how proactive the city is doing, we had a 0.13% increase to our premium this year. One of the lowest out of the 140 member agencies in Pool Pack. So I just wanted to get that out there if you don't mind. And one other thing, we were provided 2 options for insurance. The first option was with a $10,000 deductible, and that was for $933,000, including the airport. The second option was for a $25,000 deductible, and that was for $842,000. Last year, we did a cost-benefit analysis, and we found out that for the previous few years, it would have been not effective for us to change from our current $10,000 to $25,000. And this year, we found the same result, and the details are in your packet. So for the 4th year in a row, we are recommending that we stay with the $10,000 deductible, which is option 1 in your packet, for $933,000, $604.73. And that's all I have, unless you have any final things for me.
Go ahead.
Paul, I just wanted to say thank you for pointing that out, because there's a couple things. I mean, last year there was a significant jump. And so I have to say, when I got the numbers this year, I was kind of like, oh, what could this be? So I was very excited to see the numbers. And when you explained to me what you guys have done to be proactive, I know just myself, I'm very grateful, but I think as a city, we should be thankful too that we keep those premiums low by making sure that we're doing what we need to remain safe and consistent and keeping those numbers low. So thank you. And also, I really appreciated the cost benefit analysis, because it really helped us to see in stark numbers exactly what it does look like if we change those deductibles. And
Right.
it does make sense to stay at the 10,000. So thank you for that too, and for the presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you. So I'll bring it back to council. Any direction that we can give on Resolution 7808?
I'll move to approve Resolution 7809.
I'll second that.
Yeah, moved and seconded. Discussion? Is it 7807? 09, okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Unanimous. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Paul. That moves us to number 6 on the agenda. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor Hardy, members of City Council. Prior to Taylor Tedder's departure as city manager, he sought out proposals from recruitment firms to help the council select his replacement. We received proposals from 5 firms, and on May 14th, the council reviewed those proposals and gave direction to staff to move forward with 2 of those firms. That included Roftelis and Development Associates. Development Associates this morning indicated that they are no longer interested in pursuing a contract with the city. But Pamela Weiderman with Roftelis is here to provide a brief overview of their services and answer any questions of the City Council regarding a potential contract for city manager recruitment.
Thank you. Madam Windermer, please teach us.
Good evening, Mayor Hardy and council members. I am Pamela Weidman with Raftelis. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you tonight in your lovely city. I will just briefly go through the proposal. We can do this one of 2 ways. I'm happy to walk through the proposal, or I'm happy just to turn it back to you all to answer any questions that you might have about the proposal. I understand that you've seen it. It's in your packet, so I will do whatever is most efficient for you.
Questions, concerns?
I'll add my 2 cents. I personally have reviewed and made notes, and I don't know that a summary or even a presentation going over the entire proposal is the best use of our time. I think questions and answers probably good. Well, it's throwing that out there as a suggestion, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Okay, that's my suggestion.
Yes.
I would like a brief overview. I just mean brief to tell us why you would be the best company.
Excellent.
Any other suggestions that we can throw at her while she's here? So did we get your name massacred today?
That's okay. It's pronounced just like it's spelled, Weidman.
Okay. Thank you. And any other questions? So if you can give a very brief.
Sure. So I was once told to be brief and be bright and be gone, and so I'll do that. Just in terms, I'll refer you, I think you have a packet, I'll refer you to the very first page, who we are. I think the question is why we believe we will be the best firm to do this selection for you. So we have resources and expertise to do this. Not only would you have me as your lead consultant, but we also have over 160 or 170 consultants in our firm who have worked with cities in different capacities. In addition to myself, there are 2 other lead recruiters, and I am supported by a team. We have decades of collective experience. People have worked for cities like yourself. I am previously with the city of Charlotte, North Carolina, so appreciate the job that you do, appreciate the job that a city manager does, know the responsibility of doing that job, and so that will aid us in our selection in the candidates that we bring to you for your selection of a city manager. You will have personal services. I am here today. I will be talking with you interviewing each of you all individually and collectively to understand what you want in a city manager. And then again, our expertise lies in strengthening public sector organizations. So in the spirit of being brief, that is why we believe that we are the best firm to do this work for you. We've recruited city managers across the country, and so this is what we do on a daily basis.
Did you recently have a hand in recruiting the city manager that left us?
We did.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I thought Steve had a question.
No, I don't, actually. I've read it and I've perused it. I have all the information I need from the presentation, or from their pamphlet that they sent us and proposal. So I didn't have any questions relative to that, no.
My question would be, since you just took our last city manager, he was only here 2.5 years, how do you work finding us a person that's going to stay longer than 2.5 years?
So we cannot guarantee that anybody's going to stay for any particular amount of time. I think you all do that, right? What we will say is that onboarding, we do encourage great onboarding. Not that you all didn't do that with the gentleman that just left. We also encourage regular check-ins. While we cannot guarantee that somebody will stay for any amount of time, through the interview process, we can learn more about what individuals are looking for, where they are in their career, and develop questions that will help you all understand that better.
And so, do you think somebody that's coming to a small town, is it looking for a step up? Or, I mean, is this something you think that we're going to always deal with, or?
So I'd love to be able to predict that. Again, it just depends on kind of what people are looking for when their family situations, where they want to live, what they're looking for in a community. And again, based on, they work with the council. Everything I've read, you all have a great staff. You're a great council. So it's just really, I don't want to stand here and make it up and tell you that I can guarantee you that somebody will be here for any amount of time, because I can't. But I think it's about the working environment. I never thought that I would be with one city for 30 years, but I loved it. I grew up there. And so it just depends on what individuals are looking for in their career.
Okay, thank you.
To that end, do you give special points for somebody who's local and has requested your services to be evaluated by you? And do you look for somebody who is committed to stay locally?
So we don't award any special points. And like I said, we don't pin people. We can't pin people down to a commitment. I mean, I don't know kind of what your pay structure, what your incentives are, and how you might help drive that. But we do not, we cannot have anyone commit to how they're going to stay, how long they're going to stay.
I guess I didn't explain it very well. Let's pretend
Okay.
that there's somebody locally right now who wants to be the city manager and has a track record of being local for the last decade or so. So does that person get some kind of recognition in the way of points?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor Hardy. So I wouldn't say that they get recognition. I would say that they would be competing against a national pool of candidates that we would bring forward. I think you would make the decision, and I know you would make the decision about who you hire. But they would certainly not be precluded from participating in the process.
So do you give us a rank of 1 to 500 of the ones that you would recommend for us, or is it
Sure,
1
no.
to 10, or what is it?
Absolutely. So in the deliverables, what we would do is when we would do we would do our outreach. We would get the applicants in. Then as your recruiter, I would go through all of the applicants, bring to you, one of the deliverables would be in your candidate review. That's where we would interview the candidates with you. Generally, it's somewhere between the top 7 or 10 candidates. I will be discussing with you in a meeting about why I believe that these are the top candidates based on kind of what you tell me you're looking for in a city manager, the position profile that we develop. We would rank them, you all would rank them, and then you would decide who you want to recommend to move to the next step of the process. The next step would be a final interview process. And then from that process, you all then would rank the top 1, 2, or 3, or 4 who you want to move to that final process. So that's how we would handle bringing the candidates to you, and then you all would hear kind of my conversation with them, and you all would rank them and decide who you want to invite to continue in the process.
All right, thank you.
So just in looking at this, I see that the cost for this is $34,000 and change. And so with that, I say to myself, okay, what are we really getting for $34,000? Where are these candidates or this pool coming from? I mean, I kind of saw on what you gave us that you do national searches or on Gov. Is that what it is? I mean, you can tell me.
Sure.
And so people from, say, if someone locally wanted to be involved in this process, is that where they would?
So we handle that a couple of ways. This would be a national recruitment. We would advertise with organizations like ICMA, a National Forum for Black Public Administrators, engaging local government leaders, a number of organizations that you would know about before we went out with them. So we would develop a position profile. We would do our outreach. Often the best candidates are not looking for a job. We have a very robust database of candidates who've been in that top pool of candidates for other cities. We have that information. We'll be outreaching to them. But to answer your question directly, so it would be a national outreach, but for someone local, we're going to send you the same information. And in fact, we send you a link that you can post on your site here at the City of Boulder, so that local person or persons can go right to the City of Boulder's website and find out, see the same information that someone would see in the national recruitment.
So you might be saying that we would be doing to someone else what happened to us. Is that how I heard that? Do we like to call that headhunting? What is that looking like?
You would be doing a national recruitment.
And yes, and in other words. So, okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
You had something.
I think you hit the nail on the head. You worked 30 years at one location, and you loved it probably where you lived. And I think that's important, loving it where you live, more than anything else. What if we opened it up and we found some candidates? Then is there a different pricing if we just have you vet that person for us? Or persons?
So we generally like to do the recruitment from start to finish. What I would say, though, and thank you for raising that, Councilmember Booth, if you all know of people that you want us to particularly reach out to, or people that you want to direct, all of the applications, we want to keep the process fair, right, and equitable, right? So that's why you hire us, so that no one thinks, oh, this person knew Councilmember Booth or, Mayor Hardy, and they had a leg up or down. So if you all know people that you want or you think would be good candidates, please direct them to the link. Again, back to that personal relationship, contact me directly, email or phone. I will make sure that we reach out to those individuals so that they have an equal chance in the recruitment. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Absolutely no disrespect.
Yes, ma'am.
But a question.
Sure.
Do we have access to some of these sites if we wanted to do our own personal? if we did an RFP.
Wondering if she can be
if
the
we did
city
our-
manager.
No, I don't want to be the city manager. But if we wanted to do our own request and not go with a firm to recruit, right? If we wanted to look, do we have access to some of these same sites to be able to have a pool of people that would be interested in applying?
Yes, just like with any other job opening opportunity, our HR department tries to identify websites that would have interest in responding to that position.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that insight. Any other questions of the,
I have comments.
go for it.
I have comments that I can wait till after we're done with the presentation.
Okay. Anyone have any questions of? Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't leave.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So hearing that, we'll bring that back to council then for discussion and direction. What's the feeling of council?
I like the idea of Ref Telus doing the headhunting for us, with the cost and everything of them doing the marketing, advertising, and going and looking for these people. We will get a lot more qualified applicants than if we were to do it ourselves.
If I may,
Steve, want to go?
I have some comments, if I may.
Okay, go ahead.
So, I appreciate Telus. Where'd she go? There you are. Coming and making a presentation, taking the time to be here with us and help us work through this. Thank you for your time and presence. Having been involved in municipal hiring for many years, we need to make sure that we do the absolute best we can to recruit, identify, hire, and develop the best talent. And part of that is often accomplished in the recruitment part by check boxes. And when I looked at Raftelis, their presentation, or at least the pamphlet we got, is very checkbox oriented. We will conduct interviews via phone or video conference with those who most closely meet the profile, learn about their interests, qualifications, and experience, and then a written summary prepared and shared with the city. And then support interviews for us to conduct. An important part to remember is that the check boxes, whether it's a degree or whether it's something they've done or a certificate they've achieved, really doesn't talk to how well they do a job. It talks to whether or not they've achieved a degree or checked the box. And that's a danger for municipal government. We need to really dive into how well the individual candidates have done what they say they do. And I really appreciate it, and I had a lot of experience doing emotional intelligence and psych evaluations of candidates to get to really their ability to lead, to understand how to govern, to understand the community they work within. And I don't think Raftelis comes up to that standard. So I don't think we have enough suitable bids to make a good decision. I think we should request that staff go and find a few more that can come back and really dive into these other qualities to find the best leader for Boulder City.
Other comments? Councilwoman Booth?
I personally would like to see us go out and try to find a candidate ourselves before we hire a firm at $34,000 because last time it got us 2.5 years, and so I think our staff could do as well. But I certainly would like to see our staff doing it and seeing what candidates that they could come up with. And like Steve said, check the boxes off. Sometimes it doesn't always give you all the answers about that person, because I feel Boulder City really needs that person that's going to be, they've got to deal with a small town community and having access to everybody. You can't just shove it off. You have to be there with the people. And that's, I think, one of the most important things for Boulder City is that they're open and they can communicate within the city. And I think our staff could do that myself.
I would have to weigh in on that. The speciality of emotional intelligence testing and psych eval assessments are not general skills. I don't believe there are things that our staff have done. And I don't think that they, of themselves, without hiring some specialists, could perform it to the depth that we need it. They could open up a recruitment. I mean, anybody could do that. But to then really dive into the assessment of the candidates, I think would require a specialized group. And if we want to consider going just that way, but I don't think we should sell ourselves short, in the long run, by not hiring some specialists to help us identify the really important qualities of a leader.
And Steve, I would like to say, I do agree with that assessment, but I think it's something that we could hire out to have done also. So, and I'm not sure of that, so I'm pretty sure, but there's some places that we can maybe look and see where we could have that portion of it hired out, because I agree with you, that is an important quality to understand how that person works and functions, and have those tests where they don't know the answer and the right answer, that they can, actually the test brings that out of them. So I would like maybe look into somebody that could just do the testing portion of it.
Councilwoman Jordan.
So in looking at this, I think we're having similar ideas in some respect. I don't think that we should put on staff to hire their boss. That could be a very awkward position to be in, or a very great position to be in, right? Depending on what you want. But I just don't think it's appropriate to have staff hire their boss. However, I also believe I'd like a little more opportunity to have some flexibility within this and not feel Raftellus, you might be the best there is to have, once we know it is the best there is to have specific to Boulder City. Anyone who's ever moved here will say Boulder City is its own place with its own personality, which I'm sure every city is, but we have a lot of personality. And so there's a lot to get to know and a lot to understand. And I just myself would feel probably more comfortable with the idea that there were a few more options. It does not mean that what you didn't offer, or that what you offered wasn't fantastic. It's just, if we're going to go through this process again, I agree with Councilwoman Booth, every 2.5 years is a lot to go through this process. And for $34,000, it seems like maybe we're not getting the bang for our buck that we were hoping for. You can't guarantee that, nor would I expect you to, because a person has the opportunity to grow and to change, and clearly people come looking for other city managers, and they leave and they go. And so I think I'd be most comfortable, I'm sorry, staff, without you choosing the city manager, but with you possibly going out and saying, is there anyone else interested in, maybe is there a halfway point where there's someone who will come in and help us profile a little bit what's happening, down here. I'd like to see a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm open to getting more recruitment companies to come out and give us some other ideas, or some options. Yes, thank you. I believe staff is more than capable of finding a good candidate, but I believe they have enough on their hand already, where we could outsource it and to keep them on track of doing what they do best. So yeah, if we want to wait and get some more options in here, think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is that there are two issues. One is the recruitment and one is the evaluation. And we purposely, in the last meeting, we talked about the evaluation kind of approach of the skill set and the personality, for lack of a better way of saying it, of what a person would do in given situations. And so as I see, there's two things. One is the recruitment, one is the evaluation, and they're kind of two different beasts. And I don't think we're comfortable at this point saying, well, let's go ahead and do a nationwide search for something that we really don't know if the person's going to have a fair chance of being evaluated in a way that we have comfort. So I don't think we're ready to take a motion as to approve the contract that we have before us tonight. Am I feeling that way? Is that something that we're... So we're not going to take a motion to approve this contract, and we're going to bring it back to council, and we will probably have to have some kind of staff involvement in, by the way, we need a new city manager out there somewhere on the internet and say we're interested in evaluating. And then the evaluation may change at a given time depending on who raises their hand and says, I would like to be the city manager. But I don't think we're ready to make that decision about how that's to be done. I think we're a little disappointed that we only had one, because the other one would have done more the kind of thing, Councilman Walton, that you were looking for, that we felt comfortable with. So I think it would be feasible to put out there a feeler of kind of what we're interested in is the evaluation as much as the pool of candidates. So what candidate would feel comfortable being here and what candidate would have the skill set that we're interested in. Go ahead, I may be putting words in your mouth.
No, I just, I think you're right on the separation of the two components. But I don't know that, at least some direction to staff to see if anybody else is interested to give a bid for the whole process. And then we could kind of review what people submit, if there are any more submittals. Because I think there is definitely network and the expertise within the industry, as was explained to us, of how to reach out to people that either don't realize they're looking for a new job or that are, but just don't know how to get connected to those places that are hiring. And that's a unique and specialized kind of area. So while we could post it on our website, I don't know that it would yield the same volume and potential quality of candidates that, a nationwide search could. Not saying that, we don't have somebody in our own backyard, who knows, but I think it's, without at least getting a stab at some new bids, it's hard to say let's not do at least a nationwide recruitment or hire a company that's specialized in that. I don't see any harm in having staff ask for some more bids from some larger companies. And then while they're at it, find out if there are those types of companies that can be reached out to help just in the evaluation process of candidates that are brought forward in some other fashion. But I guess that's my comment to add to yours.
Reactions to that? Councilwoman Jorgensen.
Yes, what would the timeline be that we'd be looking at? Say we wanted to go back out and we're just asking, is there anyone else at this level that would be interested in coming to us and helping us in this process and bringing forth the information that they have on how they do recruitments? And I know that we've done that once, and I recognize that we had him come before us. What's the timeline if we send something like that out?
Well, it wouldn't be anything formal. We would seek out proposals from additional firms. What I'm hearing from the council is you're looking for those firms in particular that, as a part of their proposal, they also do the assessment process. And so we would seek those services, and then we would bring whatever responses back to the council so you could do that further evaluation.
Okay, so
And
you
I
seek
could-
them. It's not a request for a proposal
No.
of someone who comes in. It's someone that you seek out specifically for that. So with that direction from us, that would be specific enough to send you in a direction that would be helpful for us. And then
Yeah.
hopefully that process could be quicker rather than slower, so
Yeah, I
that we
would-
could
I
move
would- I would-
forward.
My goal would be to try to get proposals within the next couple of weeks, to be able to bring back, probably not at the next meeting, but ideally at the first meeting in July.
Yes, because we vacate the end meeting, so that would be ideal in my mind's eye to bring those back so that we would have that food for thought and get forward thinking on that process that we need to. You probably don't want to be the acting city manager for the rest of your life, nor does your wife want you to be. So, yes, I mean, that's what I think I'm hearing, is that the direction we would like to go is possibly go looking in that direction a little bit and see once that comes back, maybe it's not something we like. Maybe it's something we thought we liked, but at least then we have options and we understand what's available for us in this process. So, thank you.
Yep.
Is that a motion?
Is that a motion? That's a direction.
Yeah, no motion is needed. I have clear direction from the council on how to proceed. So
Okay.
I would work to bring back the additional proposals to you at the first meeting in July.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Anything that, Councilwoman?
I agree with what Councilwoman Ms. Jorgensen's saying. What I'm looking at is a person that can do the testing of the person, maybe work with our staff so that we can bring the cost of all of this down and maybe work together in tandem with us instead of just doing the whole piece. That's kind of what I was looking for, somebody that could do the testing portion of it and the vetting, what I call vetting. And vetting is part, to me, is testing that person to see what their personality really is like. So that's,
If
did
I
I
could add
confuse
to
you
that.
more?
There's a challenge there. And if we have staff recruitment and then present us with their selections of the best candidates, there's going to be unknown or known potential bias. And as Councilmember Jorgensen mentioned, we don't want staff filtering through the candidates to present to us the best ones they think are best, because it's a bad position to be in. I 100% agree with what you're saying, to try and save the taxpayer dollar in the whole process and not have to do it over and over and over. But we got to be really careful in that, because there is that potential to find some hiring or filter bias from staff, right? And we don't want them to be put in that position. I think that's a very careful thing we need to look out for.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think Councilmember Jorgen alluded to it, and I'll say it a little more plainly. I think I can speak on all of us on our behalf. Thank you, Michael, for your continued acting as city manager, wearing multiple hats and catching it from every side, literally, now is probably difficult. And we are grateful for your efforts and helping manage all of this as we try and fill this vacancy. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So do you have enough to go on, Mr. Interim City Manager?
Mayor, I do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your patience with us. So we will not accept any motion on that, but we've given direction to the city manager. That will bring us to number 4 on the agenda, under bills. Resolution 7808.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So this item is a purchase agreement for purchasing supplies and equipment related to our Dark Skies grant for $400,000 per fiscal year for the next 3 years. Now, we bought a similar purchase agreement to you guys back in the first meeting of February, and we were told that the lights that we bought during that time didn't really quite fit the Boulder City aesthetic. So with that direction, we conducted a survey for the most desired lighting fixture around the city. And the survey results heavily favored the Richmond lighting fixture, which you can see on the screens. So this agreement will facilitate the purchase of these lighting fixtures, and it will help us replace a lot of the lighting situations that we have in the city. To speak on some of those, over the past 12 months, we've had about 271 street light issues reported through SeeClick Fix, and of those, we still have about 112 of these that are still open. So this purchase agreement will help us tackle a lot of those. And this, we plan to, prior to this agreement, we've already ordered 20 of these Richmond lights so we can get the ball rolling, because we do hear the citizens' frustration with some of the light issues, as well as councils. So we're trying to be proactive in that. So, and that first 20, they'll be here by the end of July, so we can get started on that. And we do plan to have all those 112 issues that are still open, hopefully fixed by the fall. So, yeah.
Thank you. Questions or concerns?
Mr. Hardy, can you state your name and your position
I'm
for the
sorry,
record, please?
Utilities Analyst, Boulder City, Joshua Hardy.
Fine name.
Just to confirm, there was discussion in our briefing of the lumens or the wattage on those. Could you say that so that it's on our
Well,
public
yeah,
record? and-
I don't have the exact specifications from the sheet, but I can tell you that this light is slightly less bright than the current lights, but it has the same color temperature as what's already out there. But I can get you the exact specifications.
Fair enough. I mean, that was part of the feedback that I had received from residents is, yeah, it's great, and that's the preferred one. If we could tone it down just a touch, it would be, the cherry on top,
Well, yeah,
and I think that's
yep,
kind of what
exactly.
we're doing.
It's slightly less bright,
Yeah.
but it has the same color temperature.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
And it's compatible with our dark skies
Correct.
motions that we're trying to do.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any questions before I accept a motion to approve Resolution 7808?
I'll make the motion.
Oh, sorry, just one more thing. So just to clarify, the 112 that remain are remaining because we're purchasing, and that it's taking us a little while to get them in, but they're not going unrecognized in case people feel that they're not being listened to, that they are being listened to, and we are in the process now of replacing those and getting items in. And as soon as they come in, they'll be fixed, which you are hoping by the fall.
That is correct. And like I said, outside of this purchase agreement, we already ordered 20 to kind of get the ball rolling on that. And those will be here by the end of July. So, and we'll tackle the most problematic areas first.
Okay,
That's
great.
the plan. So.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. So did I get a motion to approve Resolution 7808?
I'm delighted to make this motion. I love the light. So, to approve Resolution 7808.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Unanimous. Thank you. That brings us to item number 7, introduction of bill number 2056. Need that introduced and waive the reading except for title.
I'd like to introduce bill number 2056 and waive the reading except for title.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bill number 2056, an ordinance of the City of Boulder City, Nevada, approving lease agreement number 98-482E, TW3-17, amending lease agreement between the City of Boulder City and Jeffrey S. Roberts or Mary Ann Roberts to amend and restate the agreement and extend the term of the agreement for a period of 10 years with one 10-year renewal option. This matter will be heard at the June 25th council meeting.
Thank you. Need an introduction for bill number 2057. Waive the reading except for title.
I'll move to introduce Bill 2057, waive the reading except for title.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bill number 2057, an ordinance of the City of Boulder City, Nevada, approving agreement number 00-618B, amending and restating the lease agreement between the City of Boulder City and the Boulder Rifle and Pistol Club to allow the lease to be extended an additional 10-year period with one additional 10-year renewal if the lease is assigned to a 501c3 not-for-profit entity, and updating and clarifying terms. This matter will also be considered at the June 25th council meeting.
Thank you, and we need an introduction of bill number 2058. Waive the reading except for title.
I'll introduce bill number 2058. The department recommendation doesn't say waive the reading except for title. Is that to be included in it?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay, with that.
Thank you. Bill number 2058, an ordinance of the City of Boulder City, Nevada, amending Title VII Police Regulations, Chapter 3, Animal Control to create a pet fancier foster permit and clarifying provisions. This matter will be considered at the June 25th council meeting.
Thank you. And that brings us to regular business, item number 10. Mr. City Manager.
The city is considering the annexation of approximately 4 acres located in the El Dorado Valley off of US Highway 95. And as you can see on the map on the screen, this is located well south of the I-11 interchange. The owners of this property have petitioned the city for annexation into Boulder City. On May 28th, council passed a resolution to start that annexation process. This is the next step in that process. The city staff is required to prepare an annexation study on the potential impact of the annexation of the 4 acres within the community. The property owners are proposing 2 construction businesses that would be located at this site on 2 lots. And with that, we have evaluated the potential impact of the annexation of these properties within Boulder City. And from a staff perspective, the impact is minimal. And I can certainly answer any questions with the annexation study, but what we're looking for is a motion to just accept the annexation study report.
Questions or a motion to accept the study?
I'll make a motion to accept the approval.
Is there a second to accept the
I'll second
approval of
that.
this study? Moved and seconded, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. City Manager. That brings us to item number 11, Resolution 7810. Madam City Attorney.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. City Attorney Brittany Walker. Resolution 7810 is before you today. This resolution would approve the pending sale of 100% of shares from Shaper Golf Corporation from Andrew Shaper to Carl Larcom. Would operate as an assignment of the golf course management agreement entered into in 2018. As you know, the city owns 2 golf courses, the Municipal Golf Course and Boulder Creek Golf Club. In November of 2018, the city entered into a golf course management agreement with Shaper Golf Corporation to manage these golf courses. Mr. Shaper has been a manager at the Boulder City Golf Courses for over 20 years, managing staffing, marketing, and everything that goes on at those golf courses for the past 6. He worked with the city to have both golf course operations managed by one company and formed Shaper Golf Corporation to take that over on behalf of the city. He's done a tremendous job under the existing agreement. He does have a 90-day termination for convenience clause. The city also has that right. Mr. Shaper has found another opportunity out of state and is looking to find the best way to continue his operation at these golf courses. He has employed Mr. Larcom for the past couple of years now, and Mr. Larcom has extensive experience in golf course operations. His resume is attached. He's also here present in the audience if you'd like to hear from him or have any questions for him. Staff interviewed Mr. Larkham and Andy in reviewing this potential assignment, and the staff believes that this would allow a seamless transition for golf course operations, as the new owner has this extensive experience working out at the Coyote Springs Golf Course for many years. And so with that, I'm available for questions, or if you'd like to invite Mr. Larkham up, you're welcome to do that as well.
Any questions, the city attorney first, while Mr. Larkham is coming up? Mr. Larkham, go ahead. Make your case.
I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm super excited to keep what Andy started going. There's a lot of great momentum in this town, a lot of history in this town, and I hope the extensive background that I bring in golf and in the community for Southern Nevada can keep forging us ahead.
Any comments or questions for Mr. Larkham?
I have comments, and I think it's really important, this idea of seamless and continuing what we have in place. It's now proven very successful, right? Excuse me. And so understanding, as was elaborated on in public comment, there's a lot of interaction between the golf course and the community and the youth and tournaments, and to have you with those contacts already is a positive. To have somebody who's not coming in with a separate corporation, firing everybody and bringing in new employees, but maintaining the employee core is good for our community, right? And good for the customers out there, for that consistency, right, of service and familiarity.
Consistency is very important to us. Andy and I share a lot of the same, thought processes on how to operate golf courses. Junior golf, many of you may not know, but I am in charge of the junior elite team for Southern Nevada Junior Golf. I'm also currently the past president of the Southern Nevada Chapter PGA. So I'm super active in the community, and a lot of those things that Andy started here at Boulder Creek are also the same values I instilled at Coyote Springs, and look forward to continuing going forward. Junior golf, collegiate golf, amateur golf is all really important.
Good deal. Well, those are my comments, Mr. Mayor. I think it's positive to move in this direction. I think he brings a lot of great talent to the table, and consistency, which is really what we're looking for here, and connected to the community. So thank you.
So how was the NCAA feedback?
It went very well. In fact, the LVCVA is already hoping to ask us again when the bidding process starts for, I believe it would be 2029, to see if we would be interested in throwing our name in the hat for future national championships. We've got Division II men next year, Division II women the following year, and then I believe the bidding process starts again, and they absolutely loved Boulder City.
So do we.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead.
I just wanted to make a comment also. I agree with what Steve said. I think that it's going to be seamless, this transaction. And I also think it's so important because so many charities in Boulder City, and I know when I worked with the Boys and Girls Club, the money that we raise in order to keep our charities going is so important to us, and you guys have always been so gracious and such an asset. And so I think the transition is just going to be seamless, and it will be felt all the way through down to the little league or whoever has a charity benefit out there.
Golf's an amazing avenue
Yes.
to raise money to help others. It's important to me, as in fact, the logo I have on my shirt is called Birdies for Good, something we do here for the Southern Nevada Chapter PGA that raises money for the Ronald McDonald House and for veterans programs here in Southern Nevada. So yeah, it's near and dear to our heart to making sure that charities have access to the golf course to do better in the community.
And you've done a great job at that too. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments? Motion?
If there's no further comment, Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 7810.
I'll second.
Been seconded. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by nay? unanimous. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Mr.
it.
Mayor. Thank you, City Council.
And that brings us to public comment on any item that someone has a question or a concern about. 702-589-9629 to call in, or anybody in the room would like to come forward and say anything about anything. Even if they were here just for the entertainment. 702-589-9629. Nothing written for public comment? Seeing none, we'll move to City Councilmen's and Women's Report. Go ahead.
I just wanted to put a big kudos out to our fire department. I was reading where they had to extricate a young lady with a broken leg out of the bottom of a cliff, and it was 111 degrees that day, and so it was midday, so I just wanted to say a big thank you to all the fire department that participated in that, because it had to be awful hot and a lot of work. It took them over an hour to get her out of the bottom of where she was at. So kudos to our fire department. We're so blessed to have them. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
I got nothing to report.
Okay.
Mayor, somebody called in after you started council reports.
So we'll have that person first.
Can you just reopen public comment, please?
We'll reopen public comment.
Go ahead.
Again, for the record, Fred Volz, Council. Listening without action delivers little benefit. Ignoring serious, long-standing problems with negative impacts for our entire community verges on gross negligence. We are now 5 council meetings away from the March 26th meeting, and still there has been no concerted effort toward helping Boulder's animal residents, only people who wish to profit from their suffering and exploitation. Yet at the last council meeting, time was made to discuss for the umpteenth time parking in and around the downtown business block, which is an intermittent problem at best and won't be solved completely except by a regular shuttle service or building an adjacent multi-story parking structure, completely inappropriate for the historic downtown. Time was also made to shift $2 million of much-needed money from the woefully underfunded Capital Improvement Fund to the massive swimming pool complex appropriate for Henderson, not Boulder City. We need a breeding ban, not encouragement to create more unwanted animals. Enforcement of adequate breeding conditions is virtually impossible. We were promised a leash law when dogs are in public spaces by Councilwoman Jorgensen over 2 years ago, once the second dog park was completed. There has been no movement on that subject either. We need higher animal dumping fines as a deterrent. We need mandatory microchipping of pets. We need spay-neuter for all domestic animals. We need a prohibition on animal hoarding after the latest incident involving scores of dogs and cats under the adult supervision of a clueless couple. Title VII is 27 years old and clearly not up to the task of contemporary conditions. There are serious problems in what the code states. Here are some examples. Inconsistencies exist with provision of water at undefined, quote, suitable intervals, unquote. Tethering or chaining an animal in a yard for long periods is something we would never allow for a human being and represents cruelty to an animal. There is no such organization by the name of Clark County Veterinary Medical Association, yet it is referenced as an authority in the title. How is an animal humanely destroyed with a firearm or other weapon if, quote, done properly, unquote? There is no requirement for neighbors to be notified that someone adjacent to them seeks a fancier permit, as the city of Las Vegas requires. Breeders are exempt from a spay-neuter requirement and can continue to create more unwanted animals into the future, who will also then be bred, often irresponsibly, by buyers to recoup and profit on their original purchase. Yet adoptions require spaying and neutering. Trap, neuter, and release of feral cats has been a proven way of reducing unwanted populations, yet BC Code prohibits such compassionate acts. Even discarding animals under the nuisances section makes little sense when property owners can legally abandon animals on their own property with no consequences. When is this council going to begin acting responsibly toward our large animal population and protect them from perils, avoiding suffering, and shameless exploitation for a fast profit? And I would ask that these comments be added to the record verbatim. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the line? No. Anyone else here? We'll go back to council people's reports. And you had none, Councilwoman Jorgensen?
Thank you. I just wanted to report, I went to my BCMA board meeting and that they're doing great. And I also went to the Clark County School District Oversight Panel for School Facilities. That's a mouthful. And I found it very interesting that the average cost of an elementary school went up 41% over the past 3 years. So if we take a look at some of the things that we're trying to do as capital improvement projects here in the city, and we ask ourselves, how did the price tag get so large, the pool or whatever else it is, fear not that everyone else is also feeling that. Specifics that they gave that just kind of shocked me was that iron and steel is up 53% over the from the past 3 years since 2020. Just, you know, brick and clay up 33%. Just little things where if you look at it, you understand what's happening with the building and why it costs so much. So that was eye-opening. And then something that was so wonderful and is every single year when my husband and I moved here with 3 daughters, we heard about a little gem in the city called Dance Etc. And so we walked up there to sign up our daughters and put the 2 in. And my 3rd daughter, I've often talked about Aubrey, wasn't sure if they would let Aubrey dance because she had a disability. But they opened their arms and let her be in there. And she danced her guts out. And so Aubrey and I had the chance to go just barely to Dance Etc's show, Unstoppable, this past weekend. And it was beautiful. Miss Amy started this legacy with Desi Arnaz Jr. and Miss Anna continues it again with Desi Arnaz Jr. And we get to be in the old theater, and it's everything quintessential Boulder City in my mind's eye. And it's just another one of those gems that we just have in our city, and we're so blessed. And so thank you for everyone who made that possible.
Thank you.
Amen to that. And it gave the community a chance to show off the talent of not only all the age groups, but our graduating senior dancers, and wish them well on to their new endeavors. And so that really is an integral part of the fabric of our community. And so with that in mind, also, I'm mindful of our seniors who are graduating and some who are wondering what's next, what should I do, where can I go, or I'm going to college, I'm going to the military, I'm in trade school, whatever the case may be. And our best wishes as a community go with them all, wherever they might go. And oftentimes as teenagers, we think, I can't wait to get out of this dumpy little town. And then when they're gone, they realize that was an amazing little town, and they come back. And that's, you know, the wonder of Boulder City and other communities like ours. Other than that, you know, the Water Authority, we're still meeting, working hard, understanding what the snowpack is and what the runoff into the basin is. With the warmer ground and the warmer temperatures, that always is going to equate to less runoff, even though the snowfall is over 100% of what a seasonal average may be. The runoff comes down to 80% or less. And so that's just the fact that we're dealing with now. So we can't get too confident when we see lots of atmospheric rivers or snow packs in the mountains. We still need to remember we're in borderline Tier 1, Tier 2 shortages, so conservation is the order of the day. And as was mentioned, the Convention and Visitors Authority raved about the Division III golf tournament being out here in Boulder City. And I think I mentioned this in the prior report, but they said the facility was wonderful, the course was in great shape, but most people said they loved the hospitality in the community and the people that ran the course. And so kudos to Andy and to Carl and all that helped to do that. We appreciate those efforts, and they will, the Convention and Visitor Authority staff will be back looking for events in Boulder City, which is always good for us as a community. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I had the opportunity to consider when we're proposing new things, and I thought back when Jill and I first came to Boulder City in 1982. We had a population of about 12,500. We had a four-way stop, and no street light. And in, I guess, about 1979, we had a slow growth ordinance passed, and it worked. And yet, the slow growth, we still have a new airport, new schools, new parks, new veterans cemetery, new roads, new highways, new library, new emergency aid, new central dispatch, new fitness center, new land, I can't read my writing, new rec center, new subdivisions, new golf courses, new wildlife habitat, new energy sources, new RTC flood control, new veterans home, new 7-Eleven, etc., new water, wastewater capacity, new industrial sector, new bike paths, new Ramcam, new St. Jude's, new ball fields, you get the gist. And this little town of 15,000 people, it's amazing how many things are new that we now are accustomed to having, and at the same time preserving our historic preservation. It's a wonderful place. I'll close the council report then, and if there's nothing else, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.